They say you never truly know someone until you have nothing left to lose. I thought I knew my son-in-law, Daniel. I thought I knew my daughter, Maya. I thought I had built something real, a home, a family, a life worth protecting. But on one cold Tuesday morning, when a moving truck pulled into my driveway before the sun had even finished rising, I realized that the people I loved most had already decided I was finished. My name is Caroline. I am 63 years old. I am not a woman who cries easily, but I want to be honest with you. The morning that changed everything, I cried until I had nothing left. Let me take you back to where it started. After my husband Gerald passed 2 years ago, the silence in our house became unbearable. It was Gerald's house, really. He built it with his hands, his savings, his dreams. I was the one who filled it with flowers on Sundays, with the smell of bread baking, with grandchildren laughing in the yard. For 40 years, that house was my whole world. When Daniel and Maya suggested they move in to help me through the grief, I felt something warm return. I thought, maybe this is how love looks after loss. Maybe this is family holding itself together. I gave them the master bedroom. I cooked breakfast every morning. I stayed out of their way on weekends. I smiled at every dinner, even when Daniel made comments that stung. Little remarks about how I was too old to manage the property, or how Gerald had left things complicated. I let those words pass like wind. I told myself he meant well. But what I didn't know that morning, when I saw those strangers pulling furniture from my living room onto a truck in the gray morning light, was that Daniel had been planning this for months. He didn't just want me out of the house. He wanted me erased from it entirely.
I rushed outside in my robe, barefoot on the cold driveway, and stood in front of the truck. "What is happening?" I asked the man nearest to me. He looked uncomfortable, eyes shifting away. "Ma'am, we were hired to relocate your belongings to a storage unit." A storage unit? I felt the ground shift beneath me. I walked back inside to find Daniel standing in the kitchen, coffee in hand, calm as a morning without storms. And that is when he said the words I will never forget for as long as I live. "Caroline, let's be honest. You've already checked out. You've been gone since Gerald died. This house needs people who can take care of it." I looked at him for a long moment. Then I asked the only question that mattered. "Where is Maya?" She came downstairs slowly, and she couldn't meet my eyes. That told me everything. My own daughter, the little girl I had raised, stayed up with through fevers, walked to school in the rain. She had known. She had agreed. She had let this happen. The shattered feeling inside me was something I cannot fully describe. It wasn't just heartbreak. It was the kind of betrayal that rewrites your whole past. Every kind word suddenly seemed calculated. Every hug felt like a rehearsal. They had even consulted a lawyer. Daniel had found an obscure clause. Because the property taxes had been restructured after Gerald's passing, and my name had been temporarily removed during a paperwork update, he believed he had a window to challenge the ownership. He had spoken to an attorney. He had put together documents. He had planned all of this while I cooked his breakfast. I sat in my garden chair, the one Gerald bought me for our anniversary, and I let myself feel every single thing. The grief, the fury, the disbelief. I gave myself exactly 1 hour. Then I stood up, I straightened my robe, and I made a phone call.
Because here is what Daniel had underestimated. A woman who has survived real loss, real grief, and real love does not crumble when someone tries to erase her. She recalibrates. She remembers who she is. And I remembered exactly who I was.
I called my oldest friend, Patricia, a retired family law attorney. She answered on the second ring. Within 48 hours, we had pulled every document related to Gerald's estate, the property deed, and the tax filings. Patricia found something Daniel's hired attorney had missed, a joint survivorship clause that Gerald had quietly added to the deed in 2019. It meant that upon his death, full and undivided ownership transferred to me, automatically, irrevocably. Daniel had built his entire plan on a foundation that did not exist. Patricia sent a formal letter to Daniel's attorney. She was precise, professional, and merciless in the most elegant way. She outlined the legal reality in plain terms. He had no claim, no standing, and no path forward. Daniel tried to negotiate. Then he tried to apologize. He showed up at the door one evening with his hat in his hands and a speech prepared. I listened to every word. I thanked him for his honesty, and then I told him to take his belongings and find somewhere else to stay while he and Maya figured out what kind of people they wanted to be. I did not scream, I did not threaten, I simply told the truth and I held my ground. Maya called me 3 weeks later, crying. She said Daniel had convinced her it was the only way. She said she was ashamed. I listened, and I let the silence sit between us for a long time before I spoke. I told her, I forgive you because I love you, but trust is built slowly, and it cannot be borrowed. We're still rebuilding. It is quiet between us sometimes, and that's all right. Quiet is honest. As for the house, I planted new flowers in the garden last spring. Gerald's chair is still in its spot. And every morning when the light comes through the kitchen window, I feel him there, proud. Closing moral. They called me gone, but a woman who has truly loved, truly lost, and truly survived, she is never gone. She is simply gathering herself. And when she is ready, she returns, stronger than they ever imagined.